Hi, this is Daniel from the Ultimate Guitar Academy, and I'm going to show you what I think are some of the 3 most effective exercises if you want to play fast guitar. These exercises are basically just 3 different shapes that we play in different formats. We're going to play them just on the B and the high E strings, however, you can play them on different strings if you so desire. For sake of this video, we'll stick to those 2 strings. The first shape starts on the B string with 7, 8, 10, and I'm using my index, middle, and pinky fingers. Fingers 1, 2, 4. I then go to the high E and I just play the same thing. So it's 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10 on the top 2 strings. If I put them together, I'm playing that strictly ascending, so I play it ascending, then I restart from the beginning. My picking is alternate, so down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Whether you start on a down or an up doesn't really matter too much as long as we keep this alternate, because different people have different picking styles. So that's how I'm going to play it for this video. So that's shape 1. Let's have a quick look at shape 2. It's almost the same. Instead of index, middle, pinky, fingers 1, 2, 4, we're going to change the middle to the ring, which is index, ring, pinky, fingers 1, 3, 4. And I'm going to stick to just those 2 strings, the B and the high E. So I should have, again, I just repeat that over and over. And once again, my picking will be alternate. I'm going to start with a downstroke, so we should have, the third shape is a little different. We're going to start on fret 8 and we're going to use 8, 10, 12. For this, I'm using my index, middle, pinky, fingers 1, 2, 4. You can use 1, 3, 4. I see a lot of people playing it like that. I really think this is just a preference thing, and it has to do with which is an easier stretch for you when it comes to using these different 2 fingers in the middle. So either, I would say, is completely acceptable. Just do whichever one you're better off with. So I'm going to play 8, 10, 12 on the B and the same then on the high E, still using alternate picking starting with a down. Here's what I'll get. So they are my 3 shapes. We basically want to play each shape just ascending, then just descending, and then a combination of ascending and descending. So I'm going to play each shape for a minute in those styles. Let's start with shape 1, ascending. The way I'm going to play this is using triplets. Triplets are basically 3 notes per beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you find the timing difficult, I recommend just practicing the shapes on their own first and then coming back to the video and trying it with the correct timing. I'm going to play this at 120 BPM. Again, if that's too fast, practice it slower and work your way up to this speed. Now I'm going to play the same shape, which is shape 1, descending, still triplets, still at 120 BPM for 1 minute. I'm going to play the same shape, shape 1, ascending and descending. When playing any of these shapes, ascending and descending, we don't want to repeat any notes. So when we get to the top, just go straight back down. And then when you're at the start, only play that starting note once and you start again. Because there are a total of 10 notes in this ascending descending pattern, this is actually going to be played in 5/4. And instead of using triplets, I'm going to use quavers. So the timing is a bit different. Again, if that's tricky, just practice it slower and on your own, and then come back and try it with the video. So again, 120 BPM for 1 minute, ascending and descending in shape 1. Remember that this is in 5/4, so when we count in, we're not going to count 4 beats, we're going to count 5 beats. Now moving on to shape 2, which was 7, 9, 10 using index, ring, pinky. This is going to be ascending in triplets at 120 BPM. And now this is shape 2, descending, so that's 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 7, still using alternate picking, still starting on the high E to the B, and still at 120 BPM. And now, just like with shape 1, we're going to play shape 2 ascending and descending. And just like with shape 1, our ascending and descending pattern here is going to be 5/4 timing. So we're using quavers instead of crotchets. It's still at 120 BPM, and I'm still going to play it for 1 minute. Again, keep in mind that the count in for this will be a count of 5, not a count of 4. And now we're up to the last shape, shape 3. This is ascending, so we've got frets 8, 10, 12 on the top 2 strings, ascending using triplets at 120 BPM for 1 minute. Remember, for that middle finger, for the fret 10, you can use your middle or ring fingers, either is okay. Just do whatever's most comfortable and stick with that. And now shape 3, descending. And now shape 3, ascending and descending. Remember, this is in 5/4, still at 120 BPM, but this time playing in quavers instead of triplets. Just remember that the timing I've chosen for these using triplets or quavers is simply based really entirely on how easily it fits into one bar and how easily we can play this along to a metronome. You can feel free to play this in quavers or even crotchets, however you want to play it. It's really just more a matter of practicing the shapes with the picking. Now, why these shapes? Why are these important? Why would I think that these are some of the most effective exercises? One big reason is we're using a lot of 3 notes per string, which is very handy when you play guitar. 3 notes per string allows you to play a lot of fast lines in alternate picking, in triplets. You can play them with all sorts of different patterns, ascending and descending. You can move up the neck. They're really useful shapes. But if I play a bunch of different scales, let's stick to the key of G major. That's a G Ionian shape. That's an A Dorian shape. It's a B Phrygian. It's a C Lydian. That's a D mixed Lydian. That's a E minor or an E Aeolian. And that's a F sharp Locrian. Now I know that these shapes are not always ideal to work with, but I like those ones. They're great in this context because they're all 3 notes per string and all of them just use the same shapes from our exercises, just rearranged. And I can give you another example. If we look at the A Dorian, we start with 5, 7, 8. That's index, ring, pinky, or fingers 1, 3, 4. And that was exercise 2. Then we went, which is exercise 3. That's in fingers. I'm using 1, 2, 4. Some might use 1, 3, 4, but basically it's every 2 frets, 5, 7, 9. And the last 2 are just shape 1 from our exercises. So I can see that this A Dorian shape comes completely out of these exercises. Or more accurately, the exercises come out of the scale shape. I could repeat this for every one of those scales that I just played and I'd have the same result. All of those scale shapes are made completely by our 3 exercise shapes. In case you're wondering, yes, there are other shapes in guitar. Yes, you can play these same scales in different positions, different shapes, different ways. That's not what I'm talking about here. This video is all about what I think are the most effective exercises for guitar playing. And these are particularly useful for fast guitar playing. If you want to play fast, I believe this is really going to help unlock that. As always, just practice it slow, get used to the technique, stick to your alternate picking, make sure you're using the right fingers. If you need to, just play it on 1 string. At any location, you can move it around. Or down here. Or a different string. Doesn't matter where you play it, really just focus on the right finger work and the right picking, and then try to play that with a metronome, sticking to some kind of timing. You can go with triplets or quavers. I like what I did in the video because it tends to stick to the beat quite well. And start slow and increase the speed as you improve.